Hello everybody and welcome to a quick video, hopefully not too long, to try and explain to people how to best set their settings to minimize lag in the Elder Scrolls Online. So we're all aware that this game has its moments of brilliance and it has its moments where you're just thinking, please stop lagging. I'm going to try and make that as easy as possible for you to really lower the problems you're going to have related to lag. Now a disclaimer, this is only going to improve the settings generally as an all-round thing. It's not going to make it so that, say, PvP is really busy and it is lagging the whole server. Naturally, it's not going to help there. But for your open world PvP when it's not lagging, open world PvE, wherever else you may be, it will definitely save you some FPS. A significant amount of FPS in some cases. Probably some of you could move from anywhere from about 30 FPS to 60, even 80 or 100. It's a big jump, and I'm going to do my best to cover all of that in a short amount of time. Now, I don't know whether it's applicable to console. I really am a bit unsure what graphics you can change, but have a check for some of the settings I talk about, because it might be that there is the odd setting available to you that you can actually change to improve your quality of game and all of that. But this is largely aimed at the wide population of the game. After that, I'm also going to do a little talk about PC only, and that's related to add-ons. Firstly, sort of how you can help minimize your lag from add-ons, and secondly, one particular problem that I have had in the past, and many traders have had in the past, which is how to improve your login ability when using massive add-ons such as Master Merchant or other data storage trade add-ons. I wouldn't necessarily know exactly how to do it with other trade add-ons, but I imagine it's very, very similar. It's extremely simple, takes about 3 minutes, and you'll only ever have to do it once. So if there's ever a video you should listen to, it is going to be this one. Here we go. Alright, so first of all what you're going to do is you want to press escape to get to your settings. You're going to go into your settings and you're going to go into your video settings. Now note that for each individual person, these video settings are going to go to an automatic system. So whatever it thinks you can handle. Do not assume that's right. For the large part, there is a fair bit that you can change with little to no loss. Now note that I'm on a very powerful PC. This PC is designed for handling streams and all of that. But because I do stream, I have lowered a lot of my settings a little bit to lower the thing. I'm going to discuss the ones that are a particular problem. So, first things first, all the way at the top is your display mode. I have noticed about a 2 to 3 FPS difference between going windowed and windowed full screen. Don't ask me why, I have no idea, but I get a better connection in windowed full screen. These next two, I don't really know what they do. I haven't really changed anything. If you do change them, you're going to get a pretty significant change, so I wouldn't bother changing that. And gamma adjustment doesn't really change much. It's basically going to change the brightness of your screen. If you do lower it, it will be slightly easier, but it's not particularly handsome looking, and I would just generally leave that be. Yeah, it's not really worth moving. Leave it where it's comfortable for you based on your original game setup. So you might remember you had a sort of Elder Scrolls reel and it said place, so one is invisible and the other one's just visible. That's what it automates to. You don't need to change that at all. Interface, nothing relevant here. Now this is where we go on to what would be customized. So when you first log in, you're going to see things such as graphics quality. It will say high, medium, low, whatever it automates to. We're going to change that to custom, and we're going to work through this bit by bit. So if you are on a very powerful PC, we're talking maybe 16 gigs of RAM, 1060 plus GTI with a really good graphics card, and just to generally, you're going to know if your PC is good to handle it. We're going to set all three of these to high. Now, everything else we'll come back to because there's a lot more detail to these. Quite simply, the one that you want to lower first is your shadow quality. So lower that down to maybe medium or low if you're having major problems. You don't notice a significant change in environment, but it does significantly help improve your performance improvement. And then after that, I would suggest going for your texture quality. Subsampling, I would leave that on whatever it automates to, because generally when you lower that, the game gets significantly uglier. It really becomes quite pixely. It's not the best in the world to change texture or whatever, but it doesn't make that big a difference. And yeah, it's a pretty significant improvement on performance. So texture quality, if you are still lagging, you could lower by about 1 from what it automates to. Subsampling, I would honestly leave it to what it automates to. And shadow quality, the lower the better if you are mostly focused on minimizing lag and less on roleplay potential. For every single player, no matter how good your PC is, I would suggest turning water reflection off. Again, as soon as you go to Cyrodiil, if you have that on, you might as well just log off. That's at least 10 FPS in Cyrodiil. Outside of Cyrodiil, it's not so much because you've got this big environment. It's not such a large portion of the game when you're around it. But I would still suggest lowering it, even taking it off. I really think that taking it off helps a lot. And I personally, I'm into the whole game. PvE, PvP, general questing and all that. I've done all of it and I enjoy that stuff. And I really don't think I lost any experience by turning that off. So turn that off. I'm going to come back to this one here because it's really important. Particle suppression distance, again, you want to set that as low as possible. There's no point to up that whatsoever. And view distance, the lower this is, the better your quality. But I really wouldn't move this much from where it automates to either. It does help a lot. It is going to significantly improve your lag. So if you are having major problems after all the other changes I suggest, I would leave that where it is. But yeah, for the most part, you can lower it to lower lag. And this is where we come on to the big stuff. So obviously, like I said, I'll come back to maximum particle suppression and all of these ones. The ones that you just have to have off at all times are ambient occlusion, bloom, and sunlight rays. Again, those ones you're not seeing a significant difference for what you're getting. And everyone could be anywhere between about 3 and 5 FPS. In the case of bloom and PvP, honestly, at some occasions, you can literally gain 20 FPS. Because there is so much stuff that classifies itself under this heading. And it is just a massive change. So I really like that one. After that, if you are still having lag problems, turn off grass as well. That one is not that important. I like that for the stream quality, but if I wasn't streaming and wanted smooth performance, I would genuinely run that off even on a power PC. So turn it off, see if you're happy with the appearance of the environment. I would really suggest turning it off if you are having lag issues. Distortion, again, this won't change very much in terms of enjoying questing. Maybe it will change the experience slightly. I like this one on. It doesn't seem to cause very much of a difference in my gameplay. But have a quick check once you've changed every other setting. Come back to it, turn it on and off, see if it changes things much. For me, it didn't change anything. So personally, I say leave that be. And then depth of field. I try and summarize what this does. Doesn't really matter. Just leave it be. Again, this hasn't really done much. If it automates us off, you probably want to leave it off. But I really didn't notice any change to the game at all. Last but not least, we have maximum particle systems. So, rule of thumb, put this on the lowest possible thing. If there is nothing else that you take from this video, it is to set this setting on the lowest amount possible. Honestly, the significance of improvement from this being max to lowest is gigantic. When I first had this automated, it automated at max. I turned it to 0. I don't even know what changed. I genuinely saw no difference. And I gained pretty much 30 FPS. That is ridiculous. No idea what it's intended to do. The number of particle systems that are shown. But yeah, I mean, it really changed nothing on experience. And is a massive FPS improvement. So nothing else you take from this video. Take that. That is my graphic settings. Audio settings pretty much have nothing on your gameplay. None of this has gameplay, so we're going to move on to the add-ons. So if you're a console pleb, I guess you can abandon me at this point, but feel free to watch anyway for good moral support in case you take PC. We're going to move on to add-ons. So when you move on to your add-ons list here, you can see obviously the specialist add-ons. These are the larger ones. Generally speaking, if there's an add-on you want to remove first, it's probably going to be on this. The reason I say that is these ones are storing data rather than doing a function, so to say. So these ones are ones that are your first to uninstall if possible. But obviously there's some that, for example, you really need. So in my case, I trade a lot. I like Master Merchant. This one's invaluable for Asylum. Law Books and Sky Shards are really valuable. And Pet Smith is heaven on earth for me. But try and lower the amount of these you have as possible. If you check monthly, 2 monthly, or whatever at your add-ons list and think, right, this one, I never use it. It's not updated. Let's get rid of it. If you can do that, again, every single add-on makes a significant difference on your FPS. Really does. Even the tiny ones, 2-3 FPS, and that adds up very quickly. I've seen tons of players. I've helped fellow streamers who are running 60, 70 add-ons. I'm thinking, come on, remove some of those that don't matter, and you will get, again, this massive improvement in performance. Now, the other thing to look for here is your out-of-date add-ons. You can allow these through this setting to turn on, but because they're not up to date with the patch, it's a little more demanding on the system as far as I can tell. I'm not entirely sure how the science or computing or whatever works behind this, but essentially an out-of-date add-on causes more problems than an in-date add-on. So where possible, try and uninstall those. There's certain ones, again, that I know are particularly nice for people. A real big culprit that I would just suggest avoiding heads-on is FTC, Foundry Tactical Combat. If you can get rid of that, get rid of it. Okay, so last but not least, this change is going to be applicable for anyone who has Master Merchant. And for anyone with Master Merchant, this is going to be an absolutely 100% must change part of the system. It will make a significant change to your game performance, certainly. There is no doubt at all. And for any person who's in a particularly large amount of guilds and storing a lot of Master Merchant data, you've probably in the past had problems logging into the game on occasion. This will completely solve that solution. I had it myself because I run a few big ones, and it will help you minimize your problems logging in as well as improve your game system. So, first thing we want to do is check that our character is completely logged out and our client is closed. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do that just so I can keep the thing smooth and save showing my logins, etc. But what you're going to want to do first of all is completely log off and close the game and the client itself. Once you've done that, you're going to want to open My Documents, and within My Documents, you will find a folder labeled Elder Scrolls Online. If you can't find that, Windows 10, Windows 7, Mac, whatever you are on, you can search in Documents up here to try and find exactly where it is. But in this case, we're going to go directly to the folder because I know where it is, and open Elder Scrolls Online. Within there, you have 3 folders, PTS Live, Archive, and Live. We're going to open Live. And then we're going to go into saved variables. This basically stores a lot of the changeables, etc. in your add-ons. But within there is where we see the Master Merchant files. So, first thing you are going to want to do is scroll through all of your stuff and find the add-ons labeled number data. So for me, I've got MM15 data all the way down to MM0 data. You want to delete all of those files to start with. They will return automatically soon after. Once you've deleted those files, make sure you do not delete the file called Master Merchant. That file needs to stay. If you did that already, bad luck, reinstall the add-on and back we go from scratch. But hopefully you didn't delete that, and then we can move on to the next stage. Open the folder Master Merchant by double-clicking and we'll get this notepad. Within Notepad, you're then going to want to press Control F to open the search function, and you're going to want to search the term delay in, and this is going to get your delay init command. It's also going to give you your account-wide settings, which is the line that we are looking for in here, and where we're going to make some changes, because if we change it individually, it doesn't actually make any sense. So once we're in there, we're going to see a few different settings. This is the collection of lines, and this is the guilds you do have relevant info for. None of those actually matter. It's this info here that matters. And we're going to change some things in here. So first things first, history depth. This basically stores the amount of days of data you store. The lower this is, the better. I've found generally if you're in big enough trade guilds to change this to about 14. If you're in smaller guilds, you could change this to 21, maybe even 30, but I wouldn't go too far. I think 14 is the sweet spot. And then minimum item count is going to store data for items. Well, it's basically going to make sure you're receiving data for items if it's relevant. So let's imagine a useless staff sold for 1 gold. It will show data for that, and that will cause you slightly worse conditions. And if you've got a lot of those, it's not that great. So you only really want items that are viable. Now, you might find problems with particularly rare items. Let's take some of the new Wardenfell recipes. But for the large part, I think setting this to about 20 is really good. And make sure you leave the comma, by the way. You're only changing the number itself. What you're then going to want to do is, you'll see switch champion ranks. We are going to leave that be. Max item cap, you really want to change it to 5,000. You could even make that lower. After a certain amount of items, the price is going to stay the same. So you really don't need that much data. As the leader of the guilds, I have to kind of keep that so I can see the sales data, and anyone else who runs a guild, you want to keep that high, just so you've got the data for every individual. But if you are just trading, you can make that significantly lower. But the one that really matters here is delay init. So this is short for delay initiation. What this essentially means is when you log into the game, your add-on will try and load the data during the login. When it's trying to load that much data, it's overwhelming for the system. That is when you will crash during the load. That will currently, for most of you, if not all of you, say delay init equals false. You want to change that to true, and what that will do is it will mean that it is true, that it will delay initiation, and essentially when you log in, it won't start loading Master Merchant until your character is actually logged in. By doing that, you're going to have the delay on actually getting your Master Merchant starting. You'll get a little lag spike, which I'll show you in a second, and then your game will load. So once you've changed those, you just need to close that file. If you want to double check that it's saved, open it again. If it hasn't saved, try again. It will save. And then you want to load into the game. Now, once you're in the game, I'm going to quickly help you out with that. You'll be loading up to the character screen. And generally speaking, getting to the character screen doesn't really have any problems for anyone. I personally have no problems getting to the character screen. Maybe some of you do, in which case, no idea what's causing that. But if you are having problems to the character screen, it will be Master Merchant causing that. Or, again, another of those large trade add-ons. Maybe Awesome Guild Store, Furious Trade Calls, Arcadius Trade Calls, whatever it may be. They're the culprits for this sort of thing because they're storing so much data. So slowly but surely, we're going to make our way to the character screen. Now, when we're on there, the next thing to double check, when I eventually get there, of course, is whether your add-on is turned on for that character. That's going to be important for your first character because you are going to need to load. So I know it's on for my main. I'm going to double click. You could check on the left-hand side if you need, and we'll load onto the character. Now, when we're actually logged in, you'll see exactly how your Master Merchant starts, slightly differently to your original setting. Of course, I've got to get through the load screen first, the struggles. But once we are in, essentially what's going to happen is the game is going to register the add-on as starting up. The add-on will start up during the end of the load screen rather than in the load screen, and that way we're not going to crash. So many of you, what will happen is in the bottom right-hand corner where you'll see the Elder Scrolls wheel turning, that will suddenly stop completely and you will crash. For me, it will sort of have this delay saying I'm not too happy because there's stuff it's trying to gather, but the Master Merchant won't instantly start, and so we're not going to instantly crash. We'll eventually get into our character. I don't want to jinx this. I'm trying to make a video, you know. Be nice to me, Elder Scrolls. Come on, baby. It will go in. I haven't crashed ever since I've changed the setting. We make our way onto our character. We'll see in the bottom left-hand setting, Master Merchant initializing. It's waited for us to log in. At this point, you're going to get maybe, I don't know, anywhere between 20 seconds to a couple of minutes of lag. And then you're good to go. There we go. I think I've covered everything. Good. So that should help fix your Master Merchant problems. It should help fix any other lag problems you are experiencing in the game. If there is anything I missed that could significantly improve performance, feel free to put it in the description. I think I've covered everything. And of course, if you'd like any more videos like this, any more guides, any more top 10s, or whatever it may be, feel free to put a suggestion in the description. Again, I will read those and do what I can. But there you go. Happy days, guys. Good luck with the settings. I hope it really helps improve your performance. And best of luck in PvP. Magplar build will be coming up pretty soon. I've been working on that recently.